right? Our bodies know how to go through these processes, right? But I love being in that space and helping people not have to be so fearful, right? Even though obviously death is an extremely fearful thing. But just being able to be there, being able to talk with people, being able to share that space, like it was mentioned earlier, right? I think a lot of the things that we try to do, we can't solve many of these problems, right? But I think people are just looking for that voice, somebody to companion them, somebody to say, you know what, I'm here, I will try my best to do whatever it is that you do. And then particularly for me, being from like the queer and trans community, I find it extremely disheartening how many, especially trans people, die and their names are erased, right? Their genders are completely changed. Families bury them, right, with their birth names, with all of this information that no longer belong to them. And so being able to provide people with those resources so that they can choose the death that they want, right? They can choose to be remembered, right, how they want, is the reason why I love doing it.
Nice, thank you. What do you love about being a death doula?
Allowing people to die with dignity, bringing peace sometimes. I've been present at one particular death where they did not get along with the wife, and so people were just thinking it was all her and not giving the person who passed away dignity. The person that passed away had cancer, and he was an old cowboy, and he believed if you saw him in a white t-shirt, he was naked. He did not believe in exposing his arms, he did not believe in exposing his feet. And as he was passing away, he was there in a diaper. And I knew, because I had just seen him the day before, he wanted us to cover his nakedness. And me being a non-family member, I was able to share that with him and shared with him, let's respect his dignity. Let's go outside and allow this man to leave his house one last time with peace and dignity. And so to me, sharing that peace and that dignity, like you said, people, we most recently had, didn't we have a trans celebrity that just passed away? And there was a lot of controversy whether how they were going to give her services and how they were going to dress her. And ultimately her father did give in, and they gave her the dignity that she desired in life. Let's give it to them in death too.
Hey, tell me what y'all heard. Repeat what you heard.
Dignity. I heard a lot about dignity and how they exit.
Anybody else?
Peace.
All right. Second question. What's hard about being a death doula?
Death, seeing people leave, especially if you're working with somebody who, you know, you've just met, you build such a strong relationship with them, but deep down you know, right, especially if they're already in the process of dying, that this relationship won't last long. So you get very, well, I don't know if you ever really get comfortable, right, but it's hard to know that you're saying goodbye to people constantly. So I think, right, like even for ourselves, it's about learning how to process death, right? Learning how to think about, because I feel like every time you work with someone, you're thinking about what would I want, right? How would I want to be remembered? How do I want people to show me dignity? But yeah, I mean, the hard part is just saying goodbye to people. Sometimes, like I recently did this certification program in pediatric death, and that's extremely difficult, right? Especially because for older people, we can at least rationalize, right? Like, oh, they've already had their whole life, right? This is just the natural process. But for children, right, that's not a natural process for them to die so young. And also, we don't ever have the answers that children have, right? They're inquisitive. What's going to happen to me? What's going to happen after this, right? Is it going to be painful? Is it going to be this? And so finding creative ways to companion them through that process is important, but it is hard because you know they're scared to go through that, right? And you're also dealing with the parents, right? So you're trying to get the parents to also understand that their child is going to pass soon. So yeah, I mean, that's the hard part, the emotional labor that goes into being a death doula.
You talk about the emotional toll. You know, I think about here recently in the media, we've had a lot of young mothers pass away. We had a young mother that was driving down Highway 90 and she had a car accident and they couldn't find her. And her family was the one that found her 24, 36 hours later. You know, we have another pregnant woman that got hit crossing the street. And my daughter actually knew her, and we got 3 little babies that are not gonna have a mother this Christmas. And we got an uncle trying to raise these kids on his own. To me, we're losing so many young women, young mothers, young parents, and they're trying to cope the best they can. That's where my heart goes.
What did y'all hear?
The hardest part of being a death doula is the death part, the exiting
The
of
loss.
the loss to the, I also,
Transition.
yeah.
What do you never want to see, hear, or experience ever again as a death doula?
I mean, I think it goes back to what I first said, like seeing people's autonomy completely ripped from them, right? Either because the family doesn't believe that they should, be buried a certain way, they should die a certain way, or even seeing medical staff, right, completely say, nope, this is how the person's going to die, right? This is the process, this is this. And so you see that this person, right, who's already terrified of what's happening to them, now have no control over, right, how they're going to die. I think even, people being stuck in hospitals, stuck in hospice centers, rather than being given the option of dying at home. I think a lot of people don't even realize that that's an option, right? Because we've normalized the medicalizing of death so much, right? Same way with people thinking, oh, I can't give birth at home, right? It has to be in a hospital. And so you don't even think that, oh yes, I can die at home, right? Or people not realizing that you can have home funerals, right? You don't have to be at a funeral, you don't have to call a funeral home right away. But a lot of that knowledge has been taken from us. So just seeing people's autonomy removed from them in the process of death is disheartening.
I wanted to say, I've also experienced a funeral at a home. And I don't see it anymore. It's not there no more. And it was in the 80s.
Repeat the question.
What do you never want to see, hear, or experience ever again as a death doula?
It's impossible to say the animosity amongst family members. The person before us is passing. We're here because we love and care for that person. So let's keep that in mind as we're saying our goodbyes and not bring in a lot of, finger pointing, blaming, anger. There's so much that just goes on.
Yeah.
That the animosity and the bitterness and the pettiness really comes out during that time if there was any discord among the family.
Yeah, and I think like that's sometimes like I'll just tell people right up, right, like anger, right, especially because sometimes when somebody is dying and we're not ready for their death, we don't know where to put that anger. And so it comes out in different ways, right? And so I always tell people, like, in these moments, you can't take everything seriously, because people are going to say and do things that are just completely out of character. because they don't know where to place it, right? And sometimes it's providing that space for them to just say like, I hate that this is happening, right? Or I don't understand it, or whatever, and just letting people be able to kind of break down, right? Because they don't know where to put it. It's, you know, it becomes misplaced anger towards family members, towards other people, and
Or even the dying person, I told you not to stop
Yeah.
smoking. I told you not to drive. I told you not drinking and drinking. It happens, right?
it does, yeah. Or sometimes even the people dying don't want to see certain people, right? And you have to respect that, right? Like, they may have forgiven you, they may have said, right, like, oh yes, I'm fine with this person, but that doesn't mean that you deserve to be in that space with them, right? Even while they're dying. So yeah, giving those things, right? Just having the dignity, the respect, the giving autonomy to that person to make those decisions.
I'll show a personal story. When my stepmom was passing away, my stepmom died needlessly. She had a boil, and she didn't get taken care of, and it turned into sepsis, and all her organs were failing. And as they were waiting for grandma to get her wings, she was in a room crowded with people that were scrolling, playing video games, laughing, chatting away. I wouldn't have wanted that for my mother. You know, give us our dignity, give us our peace, surround us with prayer, with positivity. Don't just hang out waiting for our wings to come up, because that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, right. Because then it's just like, okay, so is it almost time or? Yeah.
Alright, thank you. What did y'all
Yes,
hear?
of course.
A lot.
Mhm.
Give the person their dignity.
The reason I chose them is because I don't know a lot about death doulas. I don't think a lot of people know a lot. It's like, it's so foreign concept.
I had a friend who was a death doula, and she would go to births just to recharge from all the deaths, because she had been to so many deaths that she needed to go to birth every once in a while to like recharge from that. So I thought that was interesting.
What do y'all want us to know? Yeah, we may not know. What do you want us to get?
I think it's a very fulfilling job. I mean, it's hard, right? I mean, any job that involves working with people is hard. But I think just we're all going to experience death at some point, right? And just being able to be that person, that companion, someone, right? So that they have that moment of saying, I lived my life the way that I wanted to, right? Up until the very end. And just being able to advocate for people, right? Because we consider the person almost like if they're dead, even though they're not dead yet, right? It's like, well, it's almost a matter of time, right? We'll just leave them alone, right? And wait for them to pass. But yeah, just being able to be there for them, advocate for them, do the things that they still want to do. Yeah.
Grace,
Mm-hmm.
mercy, compassion.
Yep.
Consuelo. What's the Spanish English word for consuelo? That's what I want to bring when I walk in the door.
That's one.
Comfort.
Yeah, comfort, tenderness.
So it's like a peaceful, yeah. Console,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Something like that. The English translation is not quite.
There's some words that just don't go well
Right.
in English, like vamos a estrenar. We're gonna try this out, you know.
Right.
And
We're gonna straighten it out.
we're gonna straighten it out. Vamos a, and
Straighten
then
out.
consuelo. What does that really mean in today's society?
We're gonna
We're
It's
gonna
fun to
console
please.
you, but how am I gonna console you?
Yeah.
With prayer, with food, with laughter, with a smile. How about just
With
a hug?
company,
Just a hug.
with
Uh-huh.
company.
Or connection. Yeah.
Yeah, even like the word like cariño, right? Like it's so much deeper than just care.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, what did y'all hear so far? A lot?
And you know.
Right. Cool. Alright, I wanted to do this with the birth doulas, a panel like this, and I wanted to do one with the community health workers. And I learned a lot going to the community health workers meeting.
Yeah.